Hello everyone, this is Mumbo here, welcome back, and today is episode 7 on the HermitCraft server. It's good to see you all here, still enjoying my Let's Play episodes. Now in today's episode we are going to be working on our storage area. We're going to be doing the other two branches as well as other stuff, and that is because I have recently found out that King Happy actually has a semi-automatic tree farm, which means that I've been able to get absolutely tons of wood because A, it's really fun to use, and B, it's just ridiculously quick. I'll take you over there in a bit and show you how it works, because for this we are going to need plus 20 stacks of logs. So it is quite a lot, but we've already got around about 13, 14 over there, so that's okay. But before we do anything, I just want to ask you guys a question, because that worked really well in the last episode. I asked what we should call a hermit town, and you gave your suggestions in their hundreds, and it was great. We had loads to sift through. I sent them all over to the hermits, and they were really happy with some of the responses, so I will give you feedback on that one in a bit. But the question that I want to know for this week is, would you like to see a bonus HermitCraft episode every Wednesday? Now, it would not have the same amount of progress in it. It would have not next to no progress. It would probably be like sped up time-lapse footage, but it would just be me chatting away about stuff. Now, a good example of someone that has done this is King Talks episodes. I wouldn't do them that long. He does them for about an hour, but he does talk about some really interesting stuff, and they are interesting to listen to, and they are great videos, but I don't think I could personally do it for that long, just because I'm really bad at talking for sustained lengths of time. So yeah, there'll be around about 25 minutes, and it will just be me chatting about things. Perhaps you could have asked me questions in the episode before, and I'll be answering those in more detail, just things that you want to know. If you've got small questions that you want me to answer, then be sure to tweet them to me at @MumboJumbo. I pretty much reply to all questions that I get given to on Twitter if they're simple, and if they're not, then occasionally I could mention them in a video. So make sure to ask me on that, and also follow me, because I've got 100,000 subscribers and only 2,000 followers, which, that's a little bit pathetic, isn't it? So I've just made a tiny aesthetical change to this storage area, and it looks really cool, like adding the furnaces at the end, because I need to cook all of these all of this steak here, seeing as the cow farm is now in full swing. And we have a little bit of our coal up here. This is just a temporary position. I have mapped out where I want certain things to go. So this branch here is going to be for building blocks and things that I want to build with. So that may seem like quite a lot, but if you think about it, we've got all the hardened clays and all that good stuff, and we are going to have 240 spaces for different items, so that means I can separate out everything pretty much. And then on this side we are going to have like miscellaneous. I don't really know what that involves, but things like food and saplings and brewing stuff, I guess. I really don't know. Mob drops, whatever things are going in there, and that's all fine. And then this one is going to be for like pickaxes, armor, all that kind of important things, all the precious items like diamonds, redstone, glowstone, all that good stuff is going to be going down this side. So that is the plan for these storage areas, and yeah, we're going to have loads and loads of space to store things, which is pretty exciting. Okay, so now I just have to get on and dig out this entire area. I have to do exactly what I have done over here. It shouldn't take too long actually. This only took around about an hour, so hopefully it's roughly the same on this one. So here we are around about 40 minutes later, and we have cleared out the entire chest area. Now it looks a lot more impressive with nothing in it, it has to be said. Obviously our top rows of chests are going to be going up here, then there'll be the bar going across, then we'll have the half slabs and the bottom row of chests right there. Now I've taken out this area because obviously the floor's going to be there. I need to take out the top because the ceiling is going to go there, and I also need space for all the half slabs. So I have all the wood ready, which means that we can just get straight on and start adding in the chests and all the decoration. So I'm going to get to work on that, and we'll see what it looks like once I come back. One quick concern that I do have is the fact that we are almost halfway through our cobblestone storage, which means we probably have to have like extra storage for certain items. So for things like cobblestone, we could have 3 sort of columns, and then we could have 3 columns of smooth stone, and then 3 columns for wood, and so on, just because we are going to have absolutely loads of that kind of thing, and I don't want to run out of storage and have to put it in separate chests elsewhere, because that sort of defeats the object of this storage area. It's meant to be like a grand storage area where I can go to get all my items, and if there is some items scattered about elsewhere, it just doesn't make any sense. So all of the wooden decoration elements are now in place, they're all here, and yeah, this is looking pretty cool. It's going to look exactly the same as the other one, so just take that kind of style. This is what it's going to end up looking like, but on this side, and eventually on this side. This should lead to a very amazing looking area. Like, I don't know what it would look like. It's like something from Hogwarts or something like that, like a giant library of resources where you're like, whoa. So I'm pretty excited for this one. I'm just going to get all these stone brick and the stone half slabs in place, and then we'll start adding in the chests. So there we go, we finally have the storage area complete, bar the chests and the item frames, so I'll add those ones in, apart from perhaps the item frames. And the reason for that is I think that's going to be a bit of an ongoing project, in terms of I'm not going to have like loads and loads of item frames all at once. I'm going to have to gather those up over time, so that's going to be a fairly eventual thing. Eventually we will have loads and loads of item frames, but until then we're just going to have unmarked chests, which is a little bit of a shame, but it will take so long to get the right amount of leather required for this. It's just going to be so tough. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we have just run out of wood. We had 13 stacks of it, and we still have this many chests to go, which is quite a lot. So I don't know how badly I have miscalculated here, but it would appear that it does require a lot more than 10 stacks of wood to do these, which is odd. But oh well, I'm going to head over to King Happy's tree farm. You guys can have a look at it as well, and I'll see you over there. So here we are, this is it, and the concept is really simple. You just take a sapling, you stand on this tripwire, the bone meal will start dispensing, and you just hold down the right click button. You'll see it gets bone mealed. It sometimes takes a while, usually it doesn't take this long though, I have to admit, and then it gets pushed over, and just that cycle continues, and you get a massive block of wood behind you that is really easy to mine out, and it doesn't take long whatsoever. So I'm going to do this for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to get absolutely loads of wood, so we have tons for this project. Do you see what I mean? This thing is ridiculous. For those of you who say, oh no, tree farms don't work, it just pushes all the trees over into a big block, and, well, that's not farming them, is it? No, it's not, but it's sorting them into a place where you can just go absolutely mad on them, get tons and tons of wood. If I had tried to get this by just going into a jungle and taking out all the trees, or using a farm like the one that we have got at spawn that I built the other day, I would have been there for days. Like, literally hours and hours and hours, whereas that is around about 30 minutes of work, I'd say. Not even that, potentially. So that is an absolutely great yield. That will be enough for our storage area. So I'm going to head back to the base, and then I'll see you over there. So now both branches of our storage area are pretty much completely done, bar the item frames. I actually have a bunch of leather saved up here, so let's take a look. And also, if you haven't noticed, we are getting that deadly item frame lag. For those of you who don't know, item frames just cause so much problems. So if we look in this direction, then yep, the frames per second just drops right the way down. And it's quite tough to handle. I don't know how we're going to do this if we have item frames on every single chest. That is going to be a hell of a lot of lag. But you know what? I'm not really too worried about it at the minute, because I've got a fairly decent computer. But then again, it could be... no, it won't be server side, it'll be client side. So we should be alright, but yeah, things are getting a little bit intense already. So now that we've done that branch of the storage area, I feel like you might not want to watch another 10 minutes of me doing that. So we're going to work on a slightly different project. I want to get the infrastructure of this base done, because at the minute we have this area, that's all good, but that isn't going to be my entire base. I want things to be spread out everywhere. We want to have the village, we want to have various different farms dotted about, and the way that we're going to be doing that is by using pathways that look sort of jungly. We want to keep to that jungle theme, we want to make everything look nice, we don't want to have like ugly stuff everywhere. But yeah, not everything is going to be going inside this area. I think that's what some of you thought. Some of you thought that I'd given myself this amount of space and I was going to pack everything in. No, that's not how it's going to work. We are going to be spreading out all over the place. Now, the first thing that I'm going to need to do this is actually take out this pathway, because it's just far too chunky, is far too hard to work with. There's bits all over the place, and although I think it looks good, it works well with the jungle theme, I personally don't think we can work like that for the rest of the pathways. Like, we can't have just craziness going everywhere. It will just look a little bit too much. So I'm going to start taking out various elements of this path. We're going to try and simplify it down a little bit so that it looks a little bit more normal, and hopefully it works well. So the new, more toned down pathway is in place, and I am very happy with it. The original one was a bit obtrusive. I don't know what I'm talking about, to be quite frankly honest with you. But yeah, this one isn't so in your face, all over the place. Like, I still hold the impression that the first one did look like vomit, kind of going into my base, whereas this one is a little bit more subtle, and it's also something that we can continue on throughout the area. So we could have like a branch off here, and that will go off in a higgledy-piggledy pathway all around here with houses and farms on the edge of it, and yeah, it should look really good. So we're going to have loads and loads of stuff going on the outside of the base. This is obviously going to be like the central area. There's no messing around here. Like, you can clearly see that that is the center of the base. And then the areas around it are just going to be like, you know, nice little places that you can go. I plan on having all of my like industrial sized farms in these sort of areas. I don't really know which ones I've decided on yet. I know that I want to build an absolutely massive sugarcane farm so we can have enough paper to make bazillions of books. Like, absolutely billions of them. And we're also going to make like a proper industrial sized cow farm so that we have enough cows to make loads and loads of books once again. Because yeah, that's what we want to do. That's how we can get all our enchantments and have like the best gear on the HermitCraft server. Another farm that I really want to make is a cocoa bean farm, so I probably will do one of those in the future, and also one of those automatic tree farms, because King Happy's is amazing and I'm selfish and want one for myself. So those are some plans for future episodes, but for now we are just going to start branching the paths around and getting some infrastructure into our base. Now, I've done a tiny bit of work on making these pathways branch off, so we've got this one that will head off in this direction, then it will probably like fork around about here, and it will spread off in various different directions. So we have got all of that planned. You can see we also have a couple of jungle trees in. That's just to make it feel a little bit, I don't know, more jungly, more kind of involved and enclosed. At the minute it felt, well, before this it felt a little bit open, like you were walking through kind of a wasteland to get to my base. Now you are feeling involved in the jungle. Then obviously when you get into my base you're like, boom, jungle, yeah, this is good. But my new plan, because we need it, is we need to make a wheat farm, because we don't have any wheat to breed the cows that we've got, and we've got loads of cows. So I am going to start work on a building that will enclose a little wheat farm so that we can have loads of wheat, so we can do loads of cow breeding, so we can get loads of leather, so we can get loads of item frames, and also we can get loads of books. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win situation, and that's the kind of situation I'm into. So I just hopped into a creative mode world so I could start work on how I want this building to look, because I don't want it to be ugly, and this is what I've come up with. I actually think this is very nice. I've made a slight mistake there, however, I actually think it looks good with the two high fence posts like that. In fact, I'm going to do that on that side over there. Now at the back you can see we have left it open, and that is because we want to be able to get to the redstone nice and easily, so we're just going to have an open back where all the redstone will be. This is going to have a slight change of design because I haven't compensated for the water, but it's a very simple kind of shifting dirt design. They're used quite often, so you flick this lever here, you'll get an almighty noise with all these dispensers firing, and then you just go across placing down your wheat. They'll get bone mealed, and then they'll all get harvested, and it just carries on like that. I don't really have to do anything, just hold down the right click button and go left and right, which is very nice and easy. So it's a good little design. I'm going to turn that off because that's giving me a headache, but there it is. So I've begun work on our little wheat house on the HermitCraft server, and this is what I've got so far. You can see that you get to it quite simply by walking off from this pathway, and then you'll travel on down here, and then you will be right at the little wheat establishment. I don't know what we're going to call it just as of yet. Now, we're not going to be building this to the same size as we did in the creative mode world. that was a little bit large. We've made it smaller by 1 on each side, so a grand total of 2 blocks smaller, and I think this is a pretty decent size. It seems to fit in quite nicely in the jungle. I like the way that it looks anyway, so I'm just going to get to work. I'm going to do the whole exterior, and then I'll run you through how we're going to do the redstone for it. Now, it's just occurred to me that we don't actually have any spruce wood, so we are going to have to go in search of a snow biome. Now, I don't know if we actually have one. I'm sure someone's found one. In fact, I seem to remember there being one fairly close to spawn, so I'm going to head over there. I'm going to see if I can find myself a little bit of the snowy area, and hopefully that will come with some spruce wood, and then we can really get to work on this one. I can't believe I didn't think of that. So I believe that the exterior of the wheat room is now complete, and it looks really, really cool. I quite like the way that it looks anyway. It's dark, so I can't really tell what's going on. The only thing is we're going to have to rearrange this pathway just a little bit. Oh, I thought you'd get your attention over to me. But yeah, it's actually looking quite nice. I'm moderately surprised, because when I first built the first draft, I was like, you know what, this is quite good, but it's pretty huge. It's not going to fit in. So I scaled it down a little bit, and this is what I managed to do. And yeah, it's alright. I'm quite happy with this. So now we're going to have to do the inside and also work on the wheat farm that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to get to work on that, and we'll see what it looks like once it's all done. So I've now got the shifting mechanism in place. This thing is about as simple as it gets. You just stand on the pressure plate. That redstone will then power that piston, which will push all the blocks across, and then you can just walk back across, holding down the right click, and just keep doing that. And it really is that simple, and it's quite an efficient way of doing things. So that's it. Now all we have to do is get all the bone meal dispensers out the back, and it's just occurred to me that I'm going to need a ton of bows for that. We've got loads of string and we've got loads of wood, so I'm sure we will be okay, but you know, these things cost quite a bit, don't they? I just misfired an ender pearl and ended up here, which isn't right, is it? But it just gave a really good aerial view of the base, so what I'm thinking is, boop, thumbnail, there we go. That's what we're going to be using for the next episode. But it also made it clear to us that some mobs are surviving. Now, I do have loads of bows, but I don't have any arrows, and they're also holding items, which is a little bit worrying. It means that we might have to make that strip in the middle hoppers, but also think of some way to make sure that those mobs can die. So what we could do is put cactuses around it, so they eventually walk into the cactuses and they die that way, or we could put trapdoors around the edge so they fall off, but then they'll fall into my base, and I don't know if I want that kind of thing happening. So I'll have to think about that for the next episode. I don't think that's something that we're going to be fixing today, but it is something that I should be worried about, I guess. Now, the bone meal dispensers are in place, and so is the redstone behind it. And once again, this is very simple. You just flick on the lever, and all our dispensers will start firing. Now, there's nothing in them at the minute, but if we put just a couple of items in there, you can see that it's a pretty rapid firing system. So there it is, that's all 15 gone like that. Now, for those of you who don't know, because some people were a little bit concerned about this, if you've got bone meal in a dispenser and there is nothing in front of it, it doesn't use any of the bone meal. It doesn't fire it out. It doesn't like magically make it disappear. It doesn't, okay? So a lot of you were like concerned about that I was wasting bone meal in a couple of my farming videos. Don't worry about it, I'm not. Now, down here is the redstone. I don't know if you can see much of it. You can see that we have some redstone torches on the back of these dispensers here. And then on top of the dispensers is redstone, and when you turn off that redstone, these torches, like, they burn out because the redstone is powering the torch, so it goes off, but then the torch powers the redstone, so yeah, it becomes a cycle. It's known as a burnout clock, and we've just done that loads and loads of times so that it doesn't burn out, so you're constantly getting a constant stream of high amount of pulses per second, and it works really well for these kind of things. It's a really, really simple technique, and you can hear that it's really good for this kind of farm. Our final decoration is now in place. All I have to do now is fill in all of these dispensers with bone meal, and for that you can see I've got absolutely tons of bones. This is going to use quite a lot of bone meal, it has to be said, but you know what, we have got so many double chests full with it, it's going to be fine. So hopefully it all goes well, and we are going to have bazillions upon bazillions of wheat, which means that we can get cow breeding. So after a little while spent on my own cow farm, this is how much leather I have managed to get, and that is easy enough to fill this storage area and this one over here. It's going to require a lot of wood. I'm sure that I've got enough. Let's take a look in the chest. Yes, I think I'll be fine on that one. But yeah, item frames are actually really expensive items. I hadn't quite realised just how expensive they are, because leather, even though it's not particularly difficult to get, it's not rare or anything, to get it in such large quantities is quite hard. And then also it uses 8 sticks per item frame, so I think that equates to what, 4 planks of wood? That is quite a lot for an item frame anyway. That's loads for an item frame. They're only little things that go on the wall. That's ridiculous. I need to sort that one out. I now have all of the item frames in place for both of these branches of the storage area, and my frames per second have taken a fairly substantial hit. A lot of people have been complaining recently about the fact that item frames do seem to cause quite a bit of entity lag. If we take a look at the F3, you can see, yeah, we have 317 entities, which isn't good. We've also got the cow farm over here. Thank God we don't have these guys in water, because this would basically be a lag machine as far as they go. But, oh well, no biggie, is it? You know, this all seems to be working well. It looks really cool. I need to work out a way to organise all the items, because I want it to be logical. I don't want things to be all over the place, because that would be silly. So I think this is going to work well as a good project. Like I said earlier on, this is going to be building blocks, this is going to be like miscellaneous items, and then this is going to be like tools, armor, and all the non-stackable or precious items that I need. So those are the kind of things that I'm going to be breaking it up into. I think redstone items are also going to go down here as well. So that all sounds pretty good to me. I hope that you like the sound of that as well. But unfortunately, that is all I've got time for today. So if you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.